Brothers and sisters, wouldn't be an easy job being Julia Gillard at this point in time. It is a tough gig, and in this day and age, being a Shadow Minister for Industrial Relations makes it even tougher. You wonder why someone would go through it, but I've known Julia Gillard a long time. She is passionate about her beliefs and is a great Labor politician. And with our support and our hard work and that of many other Australians that know what ought to happen in this country, with a bit of luck, in a few months' time, this lady will be the Deputy Prime Minister of Australia. Would you please welcome Julia Gillard to our conference?
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm on my way to stealing a bottle of water from you. I've just been debating Joe Hockey on 3AW, so it's proved to be pretty thirsty work. So thank you very much for the water, and thank you very much for asking me to join you here today. And I'm pleased to be here at an ETU meeting because I know your union's got a long and proud history of supporting working men and working women employed in electrical trades, and also supporting their families. And for over 100 years, your union's been advocating a pretty simple thing when you think about it: a fair day's pay for a fair day's work. It's a simple bargain. And you've also been ensuring that your workplaces are safe. We all know that many of the things you're required to do are dangerous if they're not done right, and your union has been there making sure your workplaces are safe for you, and it has been there providing members with advice and assistance. I also note your union has been strongly opposed to Mr Howard's work choices regime, so-called because we know it's not about giving choice for working families and for working men and women. And to quote Kevin Rudd, we all know that Mr Howard's extreme laws have thrown a fair go out the back door, taken it out of our workplaces and chucked that Aussie fair go that we fought for so hard out of the back door. And we want to make sure that fairness comes back to Australian workplaces. I'm also very pleased to be here speaking to you on May Day. May Day is, of course, a very important day to the Labor movement. It celebrates the global achievements of the Labor movement, looking after men and women, not just in this country, but around the world. Now, over recent days and months, and particularly at the recent ALP National Conference, Kevin Rudd and I have made it clear that we want to bring a new balance to Australian workplaces, and we will be introducing, if elected, a new set of industrial relations laws. And these laws are all about taking our economy forward while still providing a fair go for Australians and their families. I will talk in detail about our plans entitled Forward with Fairness. These are the plans that we launched on the weekend. And I also want to talk to you briefly today about Mr Howard's laws. But first, I want to respond to some comments made by your State Secretary at the National Conference on the weekend. Dean and I, as Dean has just said, have known each other for a long time. It's not that we're old, it's just that we've known each other for a long time. And sometimes we agree on things, and sometimes, frankly, we do not. And in terms of agreeing on some things and disagreeing on others, that happens when I speak to representatives of the union movement. It's also the same rule that applies when I speak to representatives of the business community. And since becoming Shadow Minister for Employment and Industrial Relations, I've spoken to a huge array of people and organisations. I've spoken to employer groups, I've spoken to the AIG, to the BCA, to ACCI, to state, national and peak union groups, to individual employees and employers, and perhaps most importantly, I've been out in the community speaking directly to Australian working families themselves. And when I have all of those discussions, I do not hesitate, and I will not hesitate, in telling industrial relations stakeholders when I disagree with their views. And when I disagree, I'm always happy for the debate that comes afterwards. And trust me, there have been plenty of things to disagree about, and you might have seen some of those in today's newspapers. Today, I won't be making any exceptions. Can I make it clear that federal Labor does not agree with Dean's view about confrontation in our workplaces and the need or the desire for industry-wide bargaining and industry-wide industrial action? Kevin Rudd made this completely clear yesterday, and I will make it completely clear today. This type of behaviour in the workplace is unacceptable and will remain so under a Rudd Labor government. Our policy, Labor's policy, is all about workplace cooperation and collaboration. That's what is at its centre. We believe collective bargaining at the enterprise level is our best opportunity in boosting productivity and delivering benefits for employers and for employees. We've also been very clear on what we will and what we won't accept in the workplace. Let me quote Kevin's address to the National Press Club 2 weeks ago. Employees will not be able to strike during the term of a collective agreement. They will not be able to strike unless there has been genuine good faith bargaining. They will not be able to strike in support of an industry-wide agreement, and they will not be able to strike unless it has been approved by a mandatory secret ballot. Yes, these policies, I know, are not what your union wanted Labor to do, nor what the ACTU wanted Labor to do. But we're talking about Labor's policy, a policy we must deliver as an alternate government in the national interest. Forward with Fairness is Labor's policy, and I believe it gets the balance right. You mightn't like some of these rules, but in government we will require you to respect them. Whilst we can agree on the question of respect, or whilst we're talking about the question of respect, can I also very briefly comment on Dean's remarks regarding the Prime Minister? I won't repeat them because I think they're inappropriate. I'm no fan of John Howard's policies, and I believe his agenda is taking Australians in the wrong direction. It's taking this nation to the wrong place. And I've spent all of my life's time since being elected as a Member of Parliament out there publicly advocating how wrong his views are. But I do respect the office he holds and the fact that he put himself forward for leadership of his political party and for leadership of the nation. And I'd have to say that sort of language has no place in Australian public debates. I would now like to move on to our substantive discussion today, and that is about the Howard government's unfair work choices agenda and Labor's alternative policy, Forward with Fairness.